Hello and welcome back to another episode of Tash Teaches. I'm Tash, and in today's video I'd like to talk about the importance of examining our belief systems. First things first, let's define belief system. A belief is something one accepts as true or real, a firmly held opinion or conviction, if you will. A system is a set of things working together as parts of a mechanism or an interconnecting network. Therefore, a belief system is the network of all things that one accepts to be true in their reality. If you've never considered your beliefs outside of simply believing every thought and feeling you've ever had, it may come as a mild shock to realise that while there may be some small semblance of universal truth shared by every human being on Earth, the big picture of an individual's beliefs are as unique as snowflakes. So where do our beliefs come from? First and foremost, the majority of us will have adopted many, if not most, of the beliefs of those who raised us. More often than not, this was our parents. Or perhaps we were raised by our grandparents, or we grew up in foster care. The specifics of the situation don't matter as much as the simple fact that we were indoctrinated into a set of beliefs that did not belong to us. Interlinked with our familial beliefs were the beliefs of the community. This might have been the tendencies of thought of the town you grew up in, or the religious faith you were born into. The beliefs of those who raised you are a subset of the community that they were part of. And while there may have been differences, the likelihood is that they would have had very similar and conforming beliefs to others in that community. Such is the nature of acceptance in larger groups of people. Particularly if that community was an organised religion, it's interesting to note how we can be handed an entire belief system, one that often features a pretty fleshed out narrative of how things are, how people should be, and what is right and wrong. We did not choose to be part of that religion, and instead we just were until we decided to question it, if indeed we ever ended up doing that at all. Almost identically to religious community, we may have been indoctrinated into political community. Political ideologies are not based on universal truths, they are based on personal opinion. And the party we are born into supporting has, just like a religion, a pretty fleshed out narrative of how things are, how people should be, and what is right and wrong. One step up again and we find cultural beliefs. These are the unanimous views held by people living in the same culture. In certain parts of the world, burping after a meal is a sign of gratitude, whereas other cultures, perhaps closer to home, might find this behaviour abhorrent. Neither one is inherently right, and we must take note of the truths that we believe that do not extend past the borders of our own country. If we never travel, we may develop the mindset that the rest of the world has unusual traditions and beliefs. This mindset exists only as a comparison of what is to us as opposed to what is to them. I've found it funny over the years how Americans will often mention my accent and how they wish they had one too. When I tell them that they do, they're usually shocked and say how they've never considered that they had an accent to someone else. Everyone has an accent. There's no vanilla centre of language whereupon the way you speak is neutral to the rest of humanity. And on that note, the final layer of belief is that of humanity, or society itself. These are the most widely held views that most people agree upon, such as it's probably not a great idea to murder people, and that it's better to live in a house than be homeless. Again, even these beliefs are not always necessarily truth, as certain beliefs can be overturned after some time. An example of this is that the Earth is no longer believed to be flat, which was a pretty total truth before it became a falsehood. The people who raised us played the roles of developers, writing bit by bit the lines of code that would come together to create the software that would become our personalities and paradigms. Those developers worked for a company that perhaps we might call a community that had a vested interest in believing certain things and thinking certain ways together. Those communities were inextricably linked to the cultures that they were born from, whether through acceptance or resistance to the cultural norms. And of course, those cultures were merely puzzle pieces in the overarching structure of society itself and the grand concepts of what we all tend to believe as human beings. You see, up until the age of 7, we were programmed with no perspective and no input on what software was installed. We did not have the mental capacity to play a role in the shaping of who we were becoming. From 7 onwards, however, we are merely products of that environment until we wake up and choose to write a different story for ourselves. As children, our minds were blank canvases. It's as if the top of our heads were merely empty bowls into which were decanted all of the beliefs that came with growing up in the environment we found ourselves in. without the conscious awareness to determine what was truly real to us and what would ultimately help or hinder our ability to live a happy and healthy life. If we truly wish to grow into the people we are individually meant to become, we must make it our mission to examine and re-examine the beliefs that we have unconsciously inherited and taken to be our own. On top of that, we must make the examination of belief a lifelong habit, as regular maintenance, so to speak, is necessary to ensure that we're not living through outdated structures of thought and being that hold us back, particularly when our life circumstances change and must invariably bring forth updated ways of understanding the nature of our realities. Beliefs are also formed through things that happen in our lives, which ironically often happen because of the beliefs we hold. A specific belief will tend towards a certain outcome in a situation, which will in turn continue to solidify that particular belief. We may, for example, hold the belief that we are unattractive, and therefore unworthy of romantic interest. Because of said belief, we will, when presented with the opportunity to talk to a person we find attractive, end up self-sabotaging as a means to better solidify our belief. We become awkward and unfriendly, a subconscious tactic we use to align our reality with the belief that we hold about ourselves. If our beliefs shape our reality then, it's no wonder some people can have such bigoted views of members or elements of society. When we begin to understand the nature of belief itself, we can also begin to feel more compassion for people who have opposing and oftentimes problematic belief systems. It's important to understand that not everyone gets the chance to become aware of the subtler side of mind. We must not seek to preach, but to provide a more wholesome and loving method of education in the form of simply being the thing that we would otherwise be preaching. There is no need and often no give to change someone's mind on a specific issue. The more useful thing we can do, however, is show people that we can change our minds at all, by being the thing that's changed our mind. Now, why, you may ask, should we even concern ourselves with the rather meta nature of examining our beliefs? Well, the way we will behave, the way we will feel and think, the jobs we will get, the money we will earn, the partners we will end up with, all of these are linked to the things we choose, keyword there, to believe. You cannot achieve more than you believe you are capable of. You cannot earn more than you believe you are capable of earning. And you sure as hell cannot receive or give love that is more pure than the love you believe you are worthy of. Our perception and sensation of the outside world is merely an illusory reflection of our internal world, a place where we are capable of anything at any time. In order to achieve things in the outside world, we must first seek to remove the barriers from the inside world that prevent that thing from already being reflected. Only through clear and honest examination of our belief systems do we begin to notice the inconsistencies and illogicalities in our thinking patterns that hold us back. It is a wonderful realization that we do not have to act upon any single thought, feeling, or belief ever if we become aware enough to decide always for ourselves in the moment. If we are not our thoughts and we are not our feelings, then what are we really? Well, we are whatever we choose to be. We are simply a product of the things we choose to believe to be true about ourselves and everything else. When we become aware of this, it becomes pretty clear that it is wholly in our interest to begin to replace self-limiting beliefs with beliefs that empower us and improve the quality of not just our lives, and not just the lives of our family and friends, but everyone and everything in existence. Mental health is an individual prerogative. No amount of outside influence can change the way we think, feel, and choose to perceive the outside world until ultimately we choose to change our internal structuring ourselves. It is our responsibility, and only our responsibility, to shape our beliefs to provide maximum growth for everyone and everything. If we choose to hold beliefs that make our world darker, smaller, and more full of hate and division, then it is entirely on us. We cannot blame any external thing for a lack of peace and love internally, though it is often very tempting. And while it may at times feel scary to become aware of the rather malleable nature of the mind, it's also incredibly freeing to realise the sheer power we have at our disposal to influence and affect reality through free and ever-available internal work. So what can we do to change our beliefs for the better? It seems so romantic in concept, the idea of rewiring the way we think to align more with becoming the person we know deep down we're meant to be. But it may feel difficult or impossible if we're so inclined to believe as much. Possibility is an interesting area of belief too, for what we deem to be possible and inversely what we believe to be impossible will hugely shape the paths of our lives. We don't attempt things that we believe will never work, for what's the use in trying something that we believe is doomed to fail? When we believe in ourselves and possibility, we increase our chances of success at whatever, infinitely. The most important thing we can do to change our lives is meditate. Meditation is one of the most powerful tools available for changing not just our mindset but reality itself, for through meditation we can begin to observe our beliefs in action. It allows us the space and perspective to step back from being the person who acts upon the beliefs, and instead become aware that we are in fact the consciousness that observes the person who acts upon the beliefs. Make a pact that you will meditate every day for the rest of your life. Meditate on the good days and on the bad ones too. Science continues to discover more and more about the workings of the human brain, and perhaps more importantly, the peculiar nature of reality itself. So make it your mission in life to learn as much as possible about how you can increase the efficiency and capacity for love in your operating system. The only thing that holds us back from any single thing in life is always ourselves. Argue that fact if you so choose, but in doing so you are missing the point. For no amount of obstacle can hold off a truly determined soul from achieving what they believe they are here to do. There's a saying in the West, particularly apparent in the functions of modern times, that states to see it, you must first believe it. But in actual fact, you must believe a thing to see the thing. The beautiful thing about all of this, though, is that even after everything, you still don't have to believe a single word I've just said. For you are the sole creator of your reality, and you have the absolute freedom to believe whatever you want, and thus create whatever experience you so desire, whether it is an experience of unity or division. Our beliefs shape our thoughts, and our thoughts shape our actions, and our actions shape our reality. So change your beliefs to change your life.